Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing right out there. So, heated grips. These changed my life a few years ago when I fitted these. I resisted getting heated grips for so long, and then I got them and I can't live without them. This set are made by R&G, and I was actually given these by R&G when I did a project to, tart this XJ6 up. And they've been on the bike for 5 years and 10 months, and they still work perfectly as far as I can tell. The only thing is, the rubber on the grips is worn down quite a lot. They're still perfectly grippy, I don't have a problem with them. It's actually quite thick underneath here still. But I contacted R&G and said, would you mind sending me a new set so I can replace these? And what I'll also do at the same time is I want to do a video and compare how well the old ones work compared to new ones. So in this video, I'm going to take some temperature readings of the old grips, and then I'm going to switch the grips for the new ones, and I'm going to repeat that test. And hopefully then we'll know whether heated grips degrade over time and you don't get the same amount of heat. So task number 1 is going to be starting the bike and doing my temperature readings every 30 seconds. Don't worry, I'm in a well-ventilated garage, I've got the doors and the windows open. So I'm going to do that, because obviously you don't want to sit through 5 minutes of that, and I can give you the results, and then we'll fit the new ones. The interesting thing is going to be the fact that I didn't buy a new throttle tube. So I'm going to have to get the old heater grip off this one, and I'm pretty sure I superglued that on. We'll see. 13.6 is the first one. Okay, so I've got the results of that test, and I'm thinking that what I should do is fit the other ones, get the results from that, and then we can have a graph at the end. Sorry if you can hear lots of rain, it's ridiculous at the moment. Yeah, so let's do that. I'm going to take these off, fit the new set. Now, because these R&G grips are actually like modular, so this is what you get in the box. You basically get your power supply with a multi-connector on the end. You get the power button, which where you turn the grips on and off, and it's got 5 heat settings on there. And then the grips themselves, and it's all connected together using multi-connectors. So, I'm not going to replace the wiring part, because I know that's fine. They're running, they're getting good voltage. I'm going to replace the control unit and the grips. The reason I'm doing this is because it'll make it a lot easier for me and quick. So the main issue I have now is I need to get this grip off this throttle tube. The rest of it's going to be easy, so that's where I'm going to start. If you want to know how to install the kit, I have a video on that. That's why I'm not installing it fully in this video, because I've already done it. I'm just going to repeat something and make a video more long than it needs to be when I want to do this comparative testing. Oh, it's some rubber that's holding up here. I am so happy that hasn't fought me. If you, like me, used to say things like, I don't need heated grips, I can just deal with the cold. I can also deal with the cold. And I can deal with, freezing legs, all of that. But when it comes to your hands, it actually is a bit of a safety concern if you start losing motor function and you can't brake properly. So I would say that as much as it is I understand the perspective of I don't need heated grips, they're not a bad idea. Here's a side-by-side of a new grip and an old grip, and as you can see, it's not really that different, it's just lost this grip texture in between the little lozenge shapes, and that's all the way around. In fact, it's completely missing on the underside here, whereas on this it's even all the way. There's a finger dent, can you see that? That's where from my hand obviously does that. That's quite funny. Okay, so bar end off. Bar end off. I knew something would be a problem. Wow. I'm going to use a mechanical impact driver to do this. If you own one of these, this might blow your mind, and yes, yours probably does it too. Yes, that's a standard socket end. You can put all sorts of things on these, and virtually no one knows that that comes off. Oh, Oh, thank God that did actually work. Why is that so tight? Is it rust? Yeah. Somehow this bar end is wet and really rusty. Maybe this is the side condensation, like, accumulates on or something. Oh, it's hailing now. I'm not sure if R&G sell just grips. I do know the answer to that question now, and R&G do indeed sell individual parts so you can replace the bits you need to. So say one of your grips went wrong or it's damaged or something, you can replace that for £9.16 plus VAT. So if you need a couple of parts, keep in mind the whole kit might actually be a cheaper way of doing it. But yeah, so that's the answer. You can get individual parts and they're quite reasonably priced, considering they're individual parts of an overall kit. Yeah, there's loads of water under this. Can't say I've ever seen that before. Okay, this hail's getting quite large now. I wasn't envisaging having to do this part, but I better clean up these threads a bit and get some of this rust out of these bars and maybe, get some WD-40 down in there. I think I'll great. I think I'll replace these bars before too long. Okay, so now I can pop this off of here. I use some lock and lock. I don't know if I have any more of that stuff. I was hoping not to have to take a single piece of bodywork off to do this, but I have to take one very small piece off just to get to it. There we go. There you go. And there's a perfectly clean in the connector as well, so that's obviously been watertight. Now, because I didn't have any more of the lock and lock, what I did was I peeled it off the other one and then super glued it onto this one. It doesn't actually have to do much other than just hold here in place, so there you go, works fine. We can re-plug the power in. That's that, so I need to now zip tie that back where it was. Important thing to note if you're not aware of this, motorcycle bars as a standard are 22mm, so this is to go on the hand side that's just straight onto the bar. The other one will be bigger because you've got a throttle tube, a plastic tube that goes on the other side where the throttle turns. So you've got a smaller one and a larger one. The larger one is for your throttle tube. R&G say in their instructions you should have a good tight fit, and you might need to use adhesives, you might need to use tape and things like that underneath the build it out, read their instructions, do whatever you want to do with their info. I'm gluing these on because although it might have been a pain to get them off, as we've just seen, the glue broke down and they didn't move. I'm going to use just a little bit of super glue. And obviously I'm going to want to choose where this goes pretty quickly. There. And then that just plugs into one of the multi-connectors, and doesn't matter which one, unless the cable routing makes more sense. So I need to neaten that all up in a minute. On this side, I need to trim the end of the grip off. Now, in the first video, I actually contacted R&G and asked them if it was okay to do that, and they said that it was. And I've just read the instructions, and it now says in there about how you can trim the end off if you need to. Now, I could move this up a little bit, and I could probably move this up a little bit. I can't remember if that's fixed in with a screwed-in pin through the bar. It probably is. But I like the way these were. I like everything about it. So I'm just going to trim the end off like I did last time. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It gets jammed in there. Trim time. One trimmed end. So this needs to go on here, but it's very important to know where the cable should go. And I can't remember where I had it. This throttle does a quarter turn. So if I go there, it's going to go to there. So if I go slightly back from there, that'll be right. Good tip as well, put glue in the middle, not at the end, and not right at the beginning, because then you can get this on, slide it down, wiggle it about, get the glue all spread out, and then move it up to where you want it. and not push loads of glue right up into this face. Now I'm going to put this bar end in to make sure. This is just some super glue kicker or activator, and it will make some of it somewhere up this end activate and set. But you shouldn't use these for a while until the glue's fully set. So there you go, that's the grips basically replaced. Just double check they're working. Yes, they are. The lights will come on. Yep, fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy all this up, zip tie the cables up. You know, if you want to know how to install them, as I said, first video, check that out. I'm going to tidy this all up, and then we'll get on to stage 2 of the testing, and then we can get to the graph and find out the answer. Are new grips more effective than old grips? I don't know. RNG was happy for me to find out, so let's do it. And there we go, it's all back together. The important thing to do is just to make sure that the cables themselves are neatly away where they can be, but with enough slack on them that you can get the steering fully left and right without anything snagging or pulling, which I've done. So now is time to do test 2 and find out which are better. Okay, so I took a reading before I turned them on, and then every 30 seconds up to 5 minutes. You can see the temperature is in the vertical, the time is in the horizontal, and you can see where each timing mark was taken. The new grips and the old grips started at a different temperature, but that ramp at the beginning up to the first minute mark is pretty even. There's a bit of a crossover in the middle, and then it seems like the new grips take off a little bit there, but they end up being just slightly cooler than the old grips. I am thinking that's because the rubber is thinner on the older grips, and that's it. However, in a moment, I'm going to talk about something I changed in the wiring, and I actually managed to get an extra couple of degrees out of the newer grips. But it's all so close that I think it's fair to say that the grips don't really degrade over time at all. Spicy from the future, after fitting the grips, doing the testing, that was a week ago. Since then, I had an issue come up with the grips where they would turn themselves off. Turns out, it was nothing to do with the grips at all. It was to do with the way I'd had them connected to the power on this bike. There seems to be, between the one from 6 years ago and the one now, a minimum voltage requirement just slightly different. What I did in the end was I connected it to my battery directly, but I'm using a relay so I don't drain my battery with it, and that has solved the problem. The new grips, everything I was ever sent is working perfectly, and there doesn't seem to be any performance difference. Maybe a little bit warmer or directly off the battery by about 2 or 3 degrees, but otherwise the information in this video holds true. If you want to know more about the issues I had and how I found them and how I fixed them and how I got that piece of information, subscribe so you can see the next video. I just thought you probably want to see inside one of these, and I didn't know this is how they were done. I thought it would have some sort of heat pad. It has a coil of electrical wire, just bare metal wire, that runs around, and it's obviously a continuous loop. It doesn't go that far close to the edge, so you've got loads of gap there. That's why you can trim your tube down without any problems. So don't go that far down if you trim these. But yeah, it's that. I thought it was going to be like heat pads or something, like like a copper mesh with the connectors on it. But no, it's just metal wires wrapped around it. I mean, they work great. So do I recommend RNG heated grips? Well, I can just tell you the information. Yes, I was given the first set. I fitted them to the bike. They were here for thousands of miles, nearly 6 years. And it turns out that they were getting just about as hot as the brand new ones are. It was very easy to change the bits I needed because of the modular way it's together. And now I have another pair that will probably do me for another 6 years. So yeah, I have no complaints to say about these grips. Thank you very much for watching, I appreciate it. If you'd like to hit the like button, please do that. Subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to help support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon, linked in the description. There's also the calendars. I only have about 8 left, and when they're gone, they're gone. That's the last of this year, so grab one if you want one. Thank you for the support, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.